Today, we are talking about New York City to reduce police numbers / budgets. They're slashing all kinds of budgets. Cardi B is calling out Mayor Eric in New York City, saying, hey, what are you doing? Funding all these wars over here. Kind of calling out Biden as well. In the meantime, you're slashing the police and you're slashing school budgets due to billions being spent on the migrant crisis. Yeah, we've got issues with the budget here. Let's get into it. Here we go. We are a sanctuary city. Bring us all of the illegal immigrants that you can. Well, by all, I mean to the point where our budget is starting to go down. Oh, we've got a reduction in our budget. Okay. Yeah, that whole, police numbers, safety issue. Well, we're going to throw that out the window because, we're all about the illegal immigrants. That's literally what the mayor of New York City has done. And the budget is only so big. You only have the capacity to fund so many projects. And Chicago's done the exact same damn thing. Yeah. Just, bring them all to us. It's fine. All you Republican cities, you guys are dumb and stupid and not compassionate. We're going to take them all in. We're just going to keep it. Oh, the budget's gone. Oof, God, what are we going to cut from? Well, apparently the police, apparently the schools. City's police union warned cuts will lead to less safe streets. Yes. Let's, you know what? Before we read this one, let's just jump over to Cardi B because Cardi B, if you don't know who that is, it's a famous rapper. You don't need to worry about it. But she has some good things. Cardi B slams Eric Adams for brutal cuts to New York Police Department, says crimes will go through the roof. Right through the roof, right? Rapper Cardi B has reportedly declared crimes are going to go through the roof after Democratic mayor did his thing. In a live stream video obtained by the Daily Mail, the Grammy-winning artist stated, what's going to happen to my nieces? What's going to happen to my nephews? What's going to happen to my cousins, my aunts, my friends that's living in the hood? She continued, I'm from the Bronx. I don't want to see my shit affected. Everybody be like, New York City is dirty. And it is dirty. And we're going to get even dirtier with the fucking budget cut. Cardi, tell us how you really feel. Oof. Crimes are going to go through the roof because there is a police safety budget cut. And on top of that, there's a sanitation fucking budget cut. So that means we're going to be drowning in rats. I can't disagree with her. I can't disagree with the Grammy-winning rap artist. I don't know if I know a single Cardi B song. I just don't. I don't know. It's not my thing. According to the New York Post, the 5% cuts across the board are the first of 3 rounds. Let's see what else Cardi B said. How is there $100 million budget cut in New York City for fucking schools, library, police safety, and sanitation? Yet Joe Biden is talking about, we can fund 2 wars. We can't fund these wars. We can barely effing fund this country. Well, your mayor was down there with those busloads, those first few busloads, and he was just juicing that PR. He was squeezing the juice. He was squeezing the lemon till the juice runs down my leg. You know that lyric? Yes, you do. New York City on Thursday announced it is reducing police numbers and cutting budgets in areas like education as it continues to struggle with the exorbitant costs related to the sanctuary city's migrant crisis. We are a sanctuary city until the budget runs out. And then, crap, what do we do? Let's see. Raise taxes? No. It's election year? No, that's off the okay. Well, cut the budget. Yeah. Okay. Whack that budget. This is not a time where you can be whacking the budget from the police department. But like I've said, you got to make cuts somewhere, right? Yeah. So here we are. Mayor Eric Adams announced a $110.5 billion budget, saying cuts across all agencies were necessary, with the city having spent $1.45 billion in fiscal 2023 on the migrant crisis and nearly $11 billion expected to be spent in 2024 and 2025. What a bunch of dumb mofos. Do you not think that your constituents are going to go, hey, wait a minute. This isn't what we signed up for. I mean, we wanted to virtue signal being a sanctuary city, but when it comes down to the budgets, we don't really get the money thing because, socialism works for those who don't. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, we can't say that. Anyway, budget cuts, back to that, right? For months, we have warned New Yorkers about the challenging fiscal situation our city faces, Adams said in a statement. He's come right out and he's been very blunt about it. But he was also the one down there with the first busload coming in. It's kind of like Mayor Ted with Antifa. It was great until it just wasn't, right? Adams said in a statement, to balance the budget as the law requires, every city agency dug into their own budget to find savings with minimal disruption to services. You got to cut somewhere, period. That's what you got to do. You got to cut somewhere. You can't avoid this. That's why I haven't even podcasted this story, yet, because it's like, well, did you not see that one coming? I mean, where did you think the money was miraculously going to come from? Are the feds going to cover this? Now, each individual city self-identifies as a sanctuary city. People always say, well, Sean, how about we send them to your backyard? Ha, 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 Seattle. You know what I say? I say right back, it's too far. It's too expensive to send them here. So we don't really get any. That's just kind of where we sit. If you look at a map, those things that, kind of tell you where you're located as far as your region relative to other regions on, map. Look at the southern border. Look at Seattle. Far, far away. I don't know if we've had any. Have we had any buses come here? I haven't heard of any. Oregon would get some. San Francisco's had some, right? For months, we have warned New Yorkers about the challenging fiscal situation our city faces that you chose. Let's be honest, this is what the people of San Fran chose. By electing these officials who made these decisions. Chicago, same damn thing. LA, San Fran, same damn thing. You guys, you went down these roads and now you're like, things aren't working out. To balance the budget as the law requires, every city, okay, we did that. And while we pulled off this time, make no mistake, migrant costs are going up. Tax revenue growth is slowing and COVID stimulus funding is drying up. That's the rub, right? Migrant costs are going up. Tax revenue growth is slowing. That has a lot to do with that whole real estate tax situation. Yeah, going in the wrong direction. Revenue growth is slowing and COVID stimulus funding is drying up. It's going away. We've been over the whole COVID thing for a long time, right? Just handing out trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. And here we are. New York Police Department will freeze hiring to bring numbers below 30,000 by the end of fiscal year 2025 from over 33,000. There will also be deep cuts to education, including the universal pre-kindergarten program and sanitation. That's what Cardi B is talking about, rats. We're going to be swimming in rats. That's not pleasant. Adams appealed for more help from Washington. Let's go back to this. So we're going to get down to the numbers that the number of cops in New York City that were there just prior to Rudy Giuliani kind of doing his whole broken window theory thing. You take care of the very smallest of criminal, things representing crime in the city, broken windows, clean those up, and you just keep going and you keep going and you hammer down and you keep going. And also, but another major component is that they hired thousands of cops. Interesting. So some of the stories that I've read for this podcast were, did we not learn from history how it went when we had too few cops? And the population in New York City from, call it the late 80s, early 90s is a fair number less than what it is today. So you have equivalent number of cops, say today in New York City versus back then. Just, proportionally, those are out of whack. So you're going to have way fewer cops. And you know what happens to criminal activity? Yes, shenanigans will explode because you don't have enough cops to keep the numbers down. So I'm sure it'll work out fine now. Swimming in rats. It's gross. No city should be left to handle a national humanitarian crisis largely on its own. But this is what you were begging for. You were begging for this. Oh, yeah. Those Republican governors, they're just bastards. Those bastards sending them our way. Hey, wait a minute. Actually, in the end, they're really smart because now they're not having to pay for them. They just had to pay for a bus ride. Huh. Yeah. And without the significant and timely support we need from Washington, D.C. today, well, they're too busy sending billions to Ukraine. I almost said China. Do they do that too? Yeah. We need from Washington, D.C. Today's budget will only be the beginning, he said. Oh, that's a treat. That's something to look forward to down the road. The announcement of a police hiring freeze drew condemnation from the police union, which said it could put public safety in jeopardy. Well, I mean, the whole defund the police thing worked out pretty well, right? I mean, that's last time we did this. Yeah? No, it didn't work out well? Oh, hey now. This is truly a disaster for every New Yorker who cares for safe streets, Police Union President Patrick Henry said. Cops are already stretched to our breaking point, and these cuts will return us to staffing levels we haven't seen since the crime epidemic of the 1980s and 1990s. I was in high school. I graduated in 1987. I was in college through 91 before I bailed out. And you would read stories about just the mind-blowing crime we thought of at the time. We thought of at the time in New York City. Like, those guys over there on the East Coast, they're hosed. What a bunch of morons. Now Seattle does the same thing. Not looking good. Yeah. We're going to have record murder numbers this year. Yep. Record murder numbers. You got to work at that one. Last year, it was Portland. This year, it's Seattle. Bunch of people running around shooting each other, right? Yeah. We cannot go back there, talking about to the 80s and 90s crime epidemic. We need every level of government to work together to find a way to support police officers and protect New York City's 30 years of public safety progress. Well, that's because you doubled down on the number of cops. You actually were progressive in the notion of providing some public safety. Now you're starting to pull that back. And I'm sorry, Mayor Eric Adams, you're going to look like a moron. Just saying. Just saying that out loud. Yeah. The teachers union also similarly critical of the cuts to education. You're going to have to cut from somewhere, though. You don't have the money. You can't, let's give teachers all the money and sanitation. You guys literally go down the drain. You're not going to be able to do that. Rather than protect our public schools, City Hall proposes to cut overall funding. And on top of that is making good on another threat by clawing back $109 million from the city classrooms. You're going to have to duke it over who gets what. But you know what? This wouldn't be happening if you weren't a self-proclaimed sanctuary city. Bring us your masses. Man, I watched, last night, I watched the second half of Bald and Bankrupt. You ever seen that guy? He's literally half crazy, but he gets some video footage. So what he did is he went from Colombia, which is kind of the beginning, through the really hardcore, getting through the Darien Gap, which is considered the most dangerous part of where all of these illegal immigrants coming into the U.S. through the southern border through Mexico. It's the hardest part of that because you're trying not to get killed or, taken hostage by the cartels. And so it's this massive hike literally through the mountains of Colombia. And he does that and he films it. It's just the conditions, and a lot of these are people from Venezuela, people from Russia, people from Cambodia, Vietnam. He talks about it as he goes, but he's the first YouTuber to do it that I know of, that I've heard of. And he said that he's the first one. So if you want to watch, it's Bald and Bankrupt, and I was trafficked through the most dangerous spot in the world. And he's probably correct. The conditions of the rivers that they're camping along, just the thousands and thousands and thousands of migrants that are camping along. I mean, and some of these people, they are not mountain climbers. Let's put it that way. They're carrying kids and just this brutal thing. But That's what happens when you live in a third world country and then President of the United States basically just green lights, hey, come on in, it'll be fine. And then these, mayors of these big cities, go down this whole total virtue signal of, bring them all to us. We care. We have great compassion. And then the budget cuts are going to, hurt their own constituents who got them into office. Interesting. How's that working out? Well, today's budget is nothing compared to 2024 and 2020, or I guess 2025. Yeah, things are going to get tight. You're going to have to cinch that belt up. The cuts are the latest consequence of a migrant crisis the city has been tackling since last year. While it's been exacerbated by buses sent to the city by Texas Governor Ron Abbott. Go, Ron Abbott. Go, Ron. Well, began busing migrants to sanctuary cities as the migrant crisis escalated. That only makes up a fraction of the more than 110,000 migrants the city says have come in since last year. 110,000. Abbott says Texas has sent just over 23,000 migrants to New York City. So a lot of them are getting there on their own, right? Because there's communities of just about every country in the world, and they figure, all right, we can go here, we can operate here. It's New York City. It's based on immigration, right? It's what built that city. Well, just not all at once like this. When you've got, the budget and all that other good stuff. So, we've got Chicago, Massachusetts calling for additional help. Yeah, you guys were sanctuary cities until you're not, right? So then Biden saying, no, but we don't have any more money. You guys are just going to have to work it out. We gave you some, but it's not enough. All right. So there are more than 249,000, so call it 250,000 migrant encounters in October. October alone. Republicans have blamed the crisis on the administration's policies while also criticizing sanctuary cities for encouraging migrants with their anti-enforcement stance. 100% agreed. This is ridiculous. This is why you don't have an open border policy. But for some reason, these chuckleheads are just like, bring them all in, bring them all in, bring them all in. Oh, man. Budget? Oh, yeah. Republicans in the House have passed legislation that would increase border security and limit asylum, while the Biden administration says more funding and comprehensive immigration reform to fix a broken system is what is needed. Got to do something. You got to do something new, and you got to do something fast. Will we have any of that? Or just, create some border policy in general. But you have to kind of slow down this whole concept of an open border. That is just not happening. And you know what? I do blame the Biden administration for just basically green lighting this, because you've got people coming from all over the world. They've learned by word of mouth, whatever research they can do, but they've learned by word of mouth, and they've learned by hearing other family members that have made the trip and have gotten here. Dangerous. I mean, the video I was seeing through the Darien Gap, how many people were there that were dead? Probably within that one guy's journey. And that was just a small section. I mean, it was 6 days on the road, a couple of days waiting for a boat to get him to the beginning of that hike, that climb, 7-day climb, 2 guys in a 1-man tent, no food for multiple days at the end. They ate it all. One guy gave away a tin of tuna. Man, you go on a trip like that. I get taking tuna because it's packed and it'll hold for a while, but just some straight up protein, tough to get down. Need some carbs, right? No option. Just no food, no water. Multiple people died. Some guys, they were showing a picture of a guy in the refugee camp they got to at the end when they made it into whatever country they were in. And a guy had basically just lost his mind because I think his parents and a kid and his wife had been swept down a river, drowned. People were dead along the wayside. There were bodies, just naked bodies that were decomposing. There are grave sites where because not everybody makes it, right? Not everybody makes it. So this whole thing is just, you got to have a policy. You can't have an open border. Everybody knows that. But here we are. And now it's starting to impact some of these sanctuary cities. It's going to be interesting to see how this works out. Reasonable people know that the shenanigans have to come to an end at some point in time, right? It's a given. You can't just willy-nilly make things happen the way you want and then go, consequences for actions? Weird. Yeah. Anywho, let's go fund another war somewhere else. Crazy times, right? All right. That's it for me. Where's this storyline going to go? Yeah. Much of the same. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for supporting. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.